I believe that somehow, somewhere, they have decided that Kamala Harris will not be the anointed one, that she cannot win over the blacks. It turns out back in 2010, San Francisco being a sanctuary city, there was some policies they had in place that Kamala supported, which involved contacting ICE on immigrants before any charges had been leveled against them, before any guilt or non-guilt or whatever had been determined in any type of legal situation, before any type of due process, but turning them over to ICE immediately to start the process of deportation or what have you. And my thing is, why didn't they bring this up at the CNN town hall event in front of the whole world?
And Riley's question is, I'm sure you've been hearing this too, this is a criticism we're hearing of you from the left as you entered the fray. And they talk about things that you did as Attorney General or as prosecutor or as a district attorney in San Francisco. Let me just ask about one of them, which is when you were Attorney General, you opposed a legislation that would have required your office to investigate fatal shootings involving police officers. Why did you oppose that bill?
So I did not oppose the bill. I had a process when I was Attorney General of not weighing in on bills and initiatives because as Attorney General, I had a responsibility for writing the title and summary. So I did not weigh in. But behind the scenes, I'm going to tell you, I compare my record to any prosecutor, any elected prosecutor in this country in terms of the work that I have done to reform the criminal justice system. I am a daughter of parents who met when they were active in the civil rights movement.
Why is it trickling out now? Like, this story, these issues are not new issues. Similar to the couple of people on Bernie's staff or whatever who were a little handsy or were demeaning to women or whatever they did, or demeaning to black folks.
On the 2018 midterms, the Democratic Party has become more female, more racially diverse, and younger in age. How can a voter like me feel confident in your ability to represent the party, especially given that your response to sexual harassment allegations during your campaign is that you were, quote, a little bit busy running around the country trying to make the case to be elected as president?
Well, I think that quote was a little bit out of context. But let me ask you a question. I am enormously proud of the fact that we have the most diverse, progressive freshman class in the history of the United States Congress. And you know what I did in 2016 and in 2018? I ran all over this country to try to make that happen. All right, so when you talk about the political revolution, you're talking about two things. Number one are the ideas that we are fighting for. An economy that works for all, not just the 1%. But the second point that I have made over and over again is we're not going to be able to implement a progressive agenda unless millions more people get involved in the political process. So I am delighted. We started an organization called Our Revolution. I think Nina Turner is here. You know what the purpose of Our Revolution was about? Is precisely to bring young people into the political process. And I think we're making some real progress.
But what are you going to do, Senator, to make sure that the allegations that occurred against your campaign a couple of years ago are not repeated? What are you personally going to do to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Let me tell you what we have done and what we are doing. I was very upset to learn what I learned. When I ran for re-election in Vermont in 2018, we instituted, I think, maybe the strongest protocols against sexual harassment, and that will be the protocols we bring into the 2020 presidential election.
Wasn't new. So why is Kamala Harris's dirty laundry coming out now after the town hall, after the glare, the lights are off of her? And CNN's the one putting it out.
On now and talk about these new revelations coming out about Democratic presidential candidate Senator Kamala Harris. We are learning that while she was district attorney of San Francisco, this is back in 2009, the now senator supported a city policy requiring law enforcement to turn over undocumented juvenile immigrants to federal authorities if they were arrested and suspected of committing a crime. And the senator's campaign spokesman released a statement to CNN, quote, the policy was intended to protect the sanctuary status of San Francisco and to ensure local police who needed to have strong relationships with the communities they serve regardless of immigration status were not forced to operate as immigration agents, which is the responsibility of the federal government. Looking back, this policy could have been applied more fairly. CNN K-Files senior editor Andrew Kaczynski is with me now. And so, Andrew, Kamala Harris has styled herself as an advocate for undocumented immigrants. Might what you guys have uncovered, open her up to attacks from either the progressive wing of her party or obviously folks on the other side of the aisle?
Well, it could definitely open up her to some criticism from folks on the left. When this actually went on, the California San Francisco Board of Supervisors actually attempted to pass some legislation to prevent this from happening, this new policy that San Francisco put in place in 2008. And that policy was actually opposed by Harris and then Mayor Gavin Newsom. So that was an incident where she found herself on the to the right of many immigration activists.
I believe that either Joe Biden or Beto O'Rourke will be entering the race. I believe that somehow, somewhere, they have decided that Kamala Harris will not be the anointed one, that she cannot win over the blacks as easily as she thought she could. I think the fact that she was unable to win over the blacks, just come out, win them over, launching on MLK Day, with the pageantry of being at the HBCU, that the fact that black people didn't just fall down and go, "Oh, great, Kamala," that meant that some of the white folks who were looking at her went like, "Well, why don't all the blacks like her?" Well, I think a lot of the white voters were also like, "Okay, well, she seems okay to me. I wonder why black folks don't like her." And then they started listening. They started listening to people like Tim Black point out things that didn't have to do with her skin tone or who she married or who she dated. Notice I never talked about who she dated or who she married. I've never put that in any of my content because I don't think that's an issue that I don't even need to talk about that. I can talk about her policies. She sucks because of policy. So, but I believe that now dirt is coming out on Kamala Harris, frankly, guys, because they decided they don't want her. That she's too damaged, that she can't that her campaign is not going to win. And that they might want to put their coins behind a Joe Biden or a Beto O'Rourke. I don't think Joe Biden can win either. I mean, if we want to just keep it 100, if we want to just keep it real, if we want to just keep it like, tell the truth and shame the devil, I don't think that Beto O'Rourke or Joe Biden can win. I think that Bernie Sanders is the best choice, and I believe that Beto O'Rourke would be seen as a fraud. At some point, all of the "and we can" and all of that, and we must do this and this, I believe you putting that against, first of all, it's you can tell it's contrived. You can tell it's a put on. He's putting it on. He's ginning it up. You can tell. And if you put that against somebody as authentically whatever Trump is who he is. I think he would have changed character by now. Like if Trump wasn't who Trump is, he would have broke character by now. You can't be in character for over 2 years without breaking character, okay? So I think you can't run a guy like, "Oh, and we white Americans, we must get together and we must do this thing and we must, and if we are to overcome."
Here, a city that has been one of the safest in the United States of America for 20 years and counting, safe long before a wall was built here in 2008. In fact, a little less safe after that wall was built.
This world, like this the Keanu Reeves of politics won't beat Trump because it's too much like bullshit. And Joe Biden's just too creepy. And he got too much of the legacy of Obama on him. And he a two-time loser too. So I believe I don't know. I believe that they want to. They realize that Kamala's not going to bring it home for them, and I think a lot of other people in this race are here to raise their profile, not to win. There it is, and like I said, folks, I'm wondering why they didn't talk about Kamala Harris's skeletons in the closet on the national stage like they did Bernie Sanders, and I tell you why. It's because that was their choice, and now it's no longer their choice. And let it be what it's going to be. They're just letting it all hang out now. Now it's safe to tell the truth. Now it's safe to be critical of her. Watch Joy Reid if you can. If you can watch the Joy Reid show, watch there be more pushback to Kamala and less defending of her. Right? I have a feeling there was going to be a lot less defending of Kamala Harris because they have pulled their endorsement. They have lifted their hand from the scale, and it's going to be what it's going to be. I mean, I've always wondered why didn't anybody wonder why she was getting so much support? She didn't even have any campaign policy initiatives up on her website. I mean, she's never run for president before, and she has no policies on her website. Tulsi Gabbard does. People say, well, Bernie Sanders doesn't. Well, he already ran. You go to Our Revolution, he's got policies there. How could she be running since MLK Day and not bothered to put up what she stands for? How could you support somebody you don't even know what they stand for? Doesn't even make sense. But that merch store sure looks good. She got a bomb tote bag. You can put stuff in it.